what do narcissistic parents call love?
They turn relationships into competitions. You were not a child to be loved. You were a potential weapon. You were an object to be used. En una situación de fascismo, and you don't have the choice or the space. I'm forcing you. You can't force love.
But you confuse that.
Yes, because it's a totalitarian state. So I have total control over you. Now, you will obey me and you will do as you are told. And that is love. Obedience is love. Yes, blind obedience. Slavery is love. Violence is love.
But what is love then?
It's just a spontaneous feeling. And nobody's telling me, like, you have to love. To me, it feels biological. It's a natural drive. It just spontaneously occurs. Nobody's forcing anything to happen.
Presumably, if a person is halfway normal, even halfway sane, they would spontaneously love children.
That realization opened a new path for him. Richard dove into the study of trauma psychology, exploring tools like NLP, CBT, psychodynamics, and even Zen meditation. Over time, he wove all of this together into a style that's practical, direct, and deeply compassionate.
Richard Grannon's journey began in a very different place, teaching self-defense, working in security, and training police and soldiers to manage the stress of combat. But what struck him most wasn't just their strength in the field. It was the silent battles they fought at home, battles no amount of physical training could prepare them for. Today, his mission is to help survivors of narcissistic abuse break free from the patterns of trauma and codependency, to return to truth, responsibility, and boundaries, and most of all, to rebuild a life rooted in self-worth and freedom.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Horrible Families, Familias Horribles. I am Alicia.
And I'm Ariana, and today we have Richard with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you here, and we're really excited to talk about this topic with you, about love in a narcissistic environment.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you for having me on Familias Horribles.
Yes,
Of course.
you said it.
Of course, yes. So the central theme of this episode is the painful and taboo question of love in families with narcissistic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's whether narcissistic parents ever truly loved their children and whether the survivors actually loved their parents. And then also how to reclaim the true meaning of love after abuse. So before we start, my mom has a little something that she wanted to read that's very personal.
Yeah, because, well, I'm a survivor of both parents. I cannot diagnose them officially, but all the traits are very, check.
Yeah. It's like the manual.
So, sometimes that haunted me in my healing process. You fix that, please. Something that haunted me in my healing process was this question. Did they ever really love me? I realized one day that my parents never saw me. Not really. They didn't know who I was. They never tried to find out. And in some moments, it felt like they didn't even care. So then another terrifying question came. Did I ever really love them? Was it love or was it fear? Was it guilt? Was it survival? Because, advancing the process of healing, you start seeing things very differently. How do you love someone who has hurt you your whole life, even when they are your mother, your father, your family? And what happens when you finally admit that maybe what tied you to them wasn't love at all? this is one of those topics that society doesn't want us to talk about because we're taught that family is everything, that parents must be honored no matter what. So, Richard, from your perspective, what do narcissistic parents call love?
Uf. Vamos a abrir la puerta. A ver,
Yes,
a ver
let's
lo que hay
open that
dentro.
door. Yes, yes. Good at Spanish, by the way.
Gracias. So there's a lot to this. I think, if I'm working with, I don't see clients anymore, but when I used to work with clients, I would start by asking us to have a philosophical conversation, which would be around the nature of love and what love is. So if we wanted to ask the question, we begin with the first part of your question, did my parents ever really love me? We would have to ask, what does that mean? And we can take that through different filters. So from a biological point of view, there is a bond. There is certainly a connection. From a less animalistic, more humanistic point of view, a more philosophical or even a spiritual level, did they love me? Well, were they prepared to sacrifice for you? Do they know what love is? Did they make sacrifices for you? Did they make any sacrifices for you that were not simply required of them by the protection of their public image? Were you raised in Spain? Were you raised in Madrid?
I was raised in Caracas, Venezuela.
Okay.
But then we went back to Spain. But it was like a piece of Spain, my home.
Okay. In Venezuela, la mayoría son católicos, ¿no?
Yeah. I was raised Catholic. Yes.
Yo también. And this is important because within Catholicism, there is a lot of community watching of what everybody else is doing. And it generates a tendency towards being performative. And this is mainly managed through the twin forces of guilt and shame. It's not unique to Catholic cultures. All extremely religious cultures experience this. Very devout Muslims, very devout Hindus, even devout conservative Buddhists would report the same thing. So your parents would have performed love publicly, for sure. But that wouldn't have been for you. That would have been for them. And that would have been to fulfill the needs of their public image, because otherwise they would have experienced intense shame. And so the other question I would have, so then you can filter it through like anthropological, cultural forces. And the other question would be more philosophical, which is, what does it actually really mean to love someone? There's a vulnerability in authentic love and in authentic emotion. And I don't think it's something that people with narcissistic personality disorder can achieve. I think it's beyond their power to achieve that. I don't think they ever really experience it. In fact, the notion or the architecture, the structure of narcissistic personality disorder is there to protect against the pain, the potential pain of vulnerability and intimacy. It's at its core, it has this grandiose fantasy that says, I'm not vulnerable. I don't experience vulnerability. And so then you have it's a painful question, but beyond, did they love me? You can ask, do they even care about love at all? And the answer is probably not really, not like a normal person would, because their world is bleached out. It's kind of primitive and somewhat barbaric. And power is what matters to them the most. So if it made them more powerful or made them look better to appear to be a very, very loving parent, then they would have performed the role and the performance of a very loving parent. But then in privacy, that mask would have dropped instantly. And you as a child would have felt that. You would have felt that confusion and also the betrayal. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Ooh, you just said two important words: confusion all the time. One day they kiss you, the other day they beat you up until they want to. But it's more often the violence, the verbal violence, the physical violence, the guilt, because you said guilt, right? Confusion and
Betrayal.
betrayal.
Yeah.
Betrayal. That's the betrayal is what I think we all survivors from parents like this, whether it's your mom, your dad, or both, because they really, my mom betrayed me all the time because she would use me for her whenever it was
benefit.
convenient, because they never got along. But she used me to fight with my father or to get things right. So yes, it's like a game. Is it a game? What is it?
I think, well, for them, it's the only game in town. It's the only thing that interests them. And for us, we experience it that way. There's a character in Game of Thrones called Littlefinger. And you love Game of Thrones.
Yes.
That's the story of narcissistic
yes.
families. Es una historia de las familias horribles, ¿no?
Yes.
Es nada más. Because it's all war,
For sure.
all the time. And it never ends because they don't like peace. They hate peace. So they want all war all the time.
They do.
So that character, Littlefinger, he says, power is a ladder and it goes up. And this is the classic worldview, the incredibly primitive and simplistic worldview of a psychopathic narcissist who is playing the Game of Thrones. What is the Game of Thrones? Ultimately, it is to seize power. Whoever sits on the Iron Throne wins the Game of Thrones. And so what we see inside of the narcissistic family unit is just an eternal play. And we can definitely say it's an eternal competition. So they're hyper competitive. So they turn relationships into competitions, which is painful. And again, it's confusing, particularly for children.
Wow, can you explain that a little more, what you mean by they turn relationships into competition?
Yes, because, well, it's horrible though. I mean, so for people who are waking up to being raised in a narcissistic family unit, what you described earlier was that you were instrumentalized, much like a chess piece on a board. You were not a child to be loved. You were a potential weapon. You were an object to be used. That's the instrumentalization. And I think we have to see it or we can try to see it from the point of view. There are no people for them. It's a very hard philosophical shift for most people to get to. So within the area of narcissism, people talk about empathy a lot, but they fail to do the exercise of empathy for the narcissistic worldview because they don't want to go there because it's a very dark world. Un mundo oscuro. And the way to get there into the mundo oscuro is to think, okay,
Yes.
I don't believe there are any other people. There's just me. There are competitors. There are objects. There are winners. There are losers. That's it. There's nothing else. And that's a very hard truth to hear. But when people can internalize that and learn to grieve and to sort of adapt to that truth, they'll come to realize they can explain every single confusing behavior their parents or other family members ever made. Every single one. There's no one else out there. There's just me. Everybody else is an object. Like that book, the French illustrator did called The Little Prince. There was just one little boy
Yes.
on one planet, and that's it. That's them. They're all the little prince. They're all the little princess. And we are just bit players that strut and fret their hour upon the stage, to paraphrase Shakespeare, and then are heard no more. We're not important. We don't really matter. And that's a painful realization, I think, especially if you're talking about your own mother or father.
For sure.
I'm talking about both. And yes, and this is for everyone that is living or have experienced this situation with parents or mothers or fathers. I bet they understand what we're talking about, or they are realizing it. They don't see you. It's like, can you explain that? Because it's like they create a character or something, because sometimes they were talking to me or insulting me or saying what I did, which I didn't do. They were saying what I felt, which I didn't feel. They said what I thought, but which I didn't think. So it was like they were talking about somebody else. And I would even turn. I would say, why are you? And they don't move from that truth. This is their truth. I don't know if their truth or they really are convinced that they see that person or they created. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because I know they have no idea who I am. I know that people that are listening and watching us, they have experienced this.
So usually when it comes to the description of narcissism and the description of narcissistic personality disorder, I stick to the general academic consensus. But here, generally, I don't make crazy claims about narcissism or recovery from narcissism. But I do deviate from the general academic and clinical consensus here. I think that narcissistic personality disorder is worse than most clinicians realize. It's worse than psychiatrists realize.
Yes.
And the reason why psychiatrists and psychotherapists and clinicians, not all, but many, the consensus, the majority, is it's quite a naive discipline. And when they see the awfulness of a narcissist, they're only seeing the parts where the narcissist, who knew they were under observation, let the mask slip. They don't know how incredibly mentally ill they are. So I claim it's a personality disorder of dissociation, psychosis, and delusion. And psychiatrists and psychotherapists and doctors will say to me, no, this doesn't qualify as clinical delusion. It doesn't qualify as clinical psychosis. It doesn't qualify as clinically dissociative, because there are moments where this person knows the difference between reality and not. And I would say yes, but in the same way that we describe someone with borderline literally means the border between neurosis and psychosis. I think like the narcissist, like their cousins, their brothers and sisters, the borderline, they go into psychosis and dissociation and delusion more than clinicians realize. And so I believe my contention is they're very, very mentally ill. There is a lot of pushback against this idea. There's a very strong push now to make narcissism, maybe it's not even a personality disorder. Maybe it's just a way that they relate to certain people. And I would say, okay, that exists, but hardcore narcissistic personality disorder is delusional. What does that mean? It means the person is constantly living in a self-induced, grandiose, delusional, dissociative, psychotic state. They're pushing reality away and trying as hard as they can to make a fantasy real. To answer your question, why do they talk to you as though you're somebody else? Because they're trying to make you part of their fantasy. Maybe they're full of frustration or a desire for vengeance. Maybe they think they're talking to their own mother or somebody who bullied them at school and they can't get to them. So they project these unresolved conflicts onto their child or onto their partner or onto the other family member, whoever it may be, in an effort to win, a war that was lost by them perhaps even years ago. And so that's why they talk to you like that, in my opinion.
So what I understand is that delusion is actually because they are mentally ill.
Very, very mentally sick people who can trick clinicians into thinking that they're look at the DSM. Look at the DSM.
Yeah. Oh.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
No.
So it says one of the diagnostic criteria, and people think I'm joking, they can look this up, is the client presents, a client presents, this is one of 9 diagnostic criteria, with a haughty demeanor, demeanor. I don't know what haughty is in Spanish. Like arrogant, super, super arrogant. Another one is that they believe that they're entitled to special treatment. And I look at these diagnostic criteria and I'm just thinking, are you fucking kidding me? This is nothing.
Exactly.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
You're describing a vain person. You're describing you're describing a selfish person. That's not who these people are. That's not. And so, so the sine qua non gold standard of diagnosis is the American Psychiatric Association DSM, and it's weak. It's very weak.
Yeah.
It's a very,
completely
very weak.
weak.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that.
We agree.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get close to describing what we're really talking about. You give me somebody with a haughty demeanor who's attached to a fantasy version of themselves and believes they're entitled to special treatment, I would say, how cute, how sweet.
Yeah.
Qué chulo,
Exactly.
qué chulo eres, qué chulo eres. Eres muy
Honestly.
maravilloso. It's nothing.
It's like just
nothing.
Scroll through TikTok. That's pretty much everybody you see there.
Come to Ibiza.
Exactly.
Come to Ibiza and watch the influencers. That's who our clinicians are talking about. And then they'll go, oh, well, therapy works on them. I'm like, sure, it works on them because there's nothing really wrong with them. They're just spoiled. These are just spoiled people who didn't receive negative feedback much in their lives. Therapy gives them a bit of negative feedback in an empathic way, and they can make changes. That's not narcissistic personality disorder. It's such a frustration for me because this is a battle that I've been in for years, and it's like screaming into the void. The victims hear me, but we all should give respect to the qualified authority of the clinicians and the academics. I just want them to catch up. I want them to be less naive. Yeah. I want them to understand that when they're looking at a person with this personality disorder, that person is lying 100% of the time. No, they're not. They tell it. And I'm like, for God's sake, you're in the room with them. Are you stupid? Yep. They know I'm sat with a therapist. Are you dumb?
Yeah.
Of course it's a performance. The whole thing is a performance. But they say, well, I did the interview. I asked the questions and I took my notes.
The 9 little criteria. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you could, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's other diagnostic criteria that are very, very highly regarded. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's an hour-long questionnaire. It's an interview that the clinician, psychotherapist, psychiatrist does with the narcissist, and then they score the narcissist scores. And that's considered like, yes, this is the gold. This is it's the gold standard for the assessment of clinical narcissism, the gold standard. And I'm reading through this,
crazy.
And I'm like, so the clinician is rating the quality of the client's answers as if the client is answering truthfully. My God, help me. Anyway, sorry. What was your question?
Then No, yeah, then it just goes to show how little information there is and how little education there is on this topic, even from the professionals that should know about it and the people that should be helping the survivors of these people. I mean,
Yes.
that's why we have this podcast,
No.
because we need to start diffusing, or how do you, oh my God, I don't, we need to start not diffusing.
spreading.
We need to start
inform,
spreading
yeah.
and informing the real truth, like no rose-colored glasses anymore. And I feel like these clinicians have these rose-colored glasses
Well, they don't have
of
even
who
information.
It's almost like who they hope the narcissist actually is, because then they would feel more successful in their job because they're more treatable that way, or or maybe if they accept who the narcissist actually is, they have to accept who people in their life actually are. And then we get into a whole twisted situation.
A very, very twisted situation. And what we're not discussing is, what is the prevalence of narcissism among psychotherapists? Well, it's much higher than the general population. So psychotherapy and psychiatry is riddled with narcissists. It's riddled with pathology. And yes, you're exactly right when you say they don't want to admit their impotence in the face of this personality disorder. And so, of course, people who read come to me and they say, but look at this research. Look at what the clinicians are saying. And I'm looking at the research going, first of all, this is gibberish. Second of all, these psychologists don't want to admit to you there's nothing they can do. Oh, come on, Richard, you're so pessimistic. Psychotherapy can heal this and can heal that. And I'm going, what do you think psychotherapy is? It's two people in a room talking. It's not surgery. I don't put you unconscious and cut the evil tumor out of you. We just sit and talk.
If only.
If you're lying to me, I'm good. I'm really good. Honestly, I can't do maths. I can't do finances, and I'm terrible in relationships. But when it comes to coaching and this and stuff that's in the realm of psychotherapy, I'm very good. Very, very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I can do for people like this. I've tried multiple times over the years. They're better than me. They're faster than me. And when I tried to help them, I just got sick. I tried it for 6 months. I tried borderlines and I tried people diagnosed borderlines and diagnosed psychopaths and narcissists. Some were diagnosed narcissists and they were actually psychopaths. Some were diagnosed borderline, misdiagnosed, and they're actually psychopaths. They beat me. They beat me into submission. Why? Because they're playing a different game. I'm trying to help them and heal them, and they're trying to prove that therapy is not going to work and that they're cleverer than me. So we have a strategic problem. Of course they won. Of course they won. I had no chance.
Of course.
So
they always win.
Of course, because
they always win.
There's no care for anything else, which puts them at a huge strategic advantage. And this is all to say, it's not that I think we should give up on clinicians and qualified psychotherapists and it's not that, or academia. It's that it should be encouraged and pushed to get to the next level. Yeah. To get to the point where it says, okay, we realize who these people are. We realize the weakness of this. And I really want, it's not just the naivety of psychology. I want to help people, the general population, understand psychology is a fairly blunt tool, and psychotherapy is not magic, but people talk about it like it is. They go, here's science, here's peer-reviewed research. And I'm like, you have no idea how to understand how low the qualitative standards are of this. If this was submitted in a medical journal for viruses or cancer, it wouldn't get published. But the standards we have in psychology are so much lower. So anyway, that's my little rant. It's important because I want people to understand the reality of where the therapists, clinicians, and psychiatrists, the very qualified people, are in this battle.
Yeah. Well, we are totally with you, because we have talked about this many times.
Yeah, like personally.
And when we studied the DSM, because I'm a therapist, she's a psychologist, and when you go to you get to that part, the 9 categories. It's a joke.
No, it's so
It's
watered.
a joke. It's an insult.
Yeah.
It's so watered down in many disorders,
So-
not just that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that question that I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
just if you could rewrite that, what would you put down? What would you add, or what would you take off that
The
part,
criteria.
the criteria?
Well, first of all, I would say it is just nowhere near good enough to have an equally weighted shopping list of 9 observable traits that are annoying. Yes, they're annoying. They're annoying
Yeah.
to family members.
Yeah.
They're annoying if somebody's got a haughty demeanor, or they think they deserve special treatment, or they're quite bullying. Yeah, that's irritating. This isn't mental health. That's not a mental health diagnosis. I must be attempting to describe the interior world of the client. If it was anxiety,
Exactly.
if it was depression, if it's psychotic
Panic
spectrum,
attacks.
what you would say, the diagnostic criteria would have to attempt to penetrate the internal world and
Yeah.
attempt to describe how the client is processing reality. It doesn't at all. There's literally nothing there other than that I guess we can assume the internal world of the narcissist is kind of selfish and vain. So that has to go.
Wow.
The way I would do it, or the way I would attempt to do it, is I would start with the number one thing, and everything else is downstream of this. The narcissistic core, the architecture of the building. What is in the base of the building? How is it built? The core is fantasy, dissociative, delusional, and psychotic. I must see evidence that they are operating from fantasy. Number one, and it's not equally weighted. If that's not there, but you see all 9 traits, the person's probably a bit of an idiot, but they're not. That's not a pathology. That being irritating, being rude, being unpleasant to staff or customer services or to waiters is not pathological. You've not lost your mind. You're just a dick.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
Yeah.
we have to start from, this is mental illness. Where is the person? How can people be mentally ill? And this is, you guys are psychologically literate. So this is an argument that's been going on now for 25 years, where psychiatrists and clinicians come forward and go, excuse me, how is narcissism a personality disorder if they know what reality is and it works? Even the guy on the last update of the DSM, who headed the committee of 20 psychiatrists, said this. He said it publicly. He's like, I'm not sure we can describe this as a personality disorder because it doesn't hurt them. It only hurts other people. And I'm like, guys, can you figure this out in private rather than trying to figure it out in public? So that's where I would begin. I would say we have to have that at the very center. The person must not be in touch with reality, because if they are sane but annoying. They must have lost touch with reality for it to be a mental illness of some kind. So I want to see the core. It's grandiose, it's fantastical. And me personally, I'm not going to argue with psychiatrists about whether it tips for genuine psychosis or not. It's psychotic spectrum, dissociative spectrum, and delusional spectrum. Yes, they know what reality is sometimes, but they're fighting like hell to keep it at bay. That's the first thing I would want to see. And then there's a bunch of other behaviors after that I would get into, but that's the core, the main part.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
No, wow, that is an incredible point of view. I think
Yeah.
it's so important, and I really hope that the professionals and the researchers that are taking care of these diagnoses and these criteria, that they start looking at it without the rose-colored glasses, and they start seeing it like this
Well,
for what it
this
really
is-
is.
well, they did, didn't they? Was it in 2011 where NPD was really, it was on the chopping block? They said, okay, we're taking it out. It's no longer going to be in the DSM. But the pushback was huge to keep it in there. And it was from good intention. So in 2013, it was kept in there, but it was due to be cut out. And the reason was from good intentions. It was, if you take it out, you're invalidating the experiences of people who've experienced narcissistic abuse. And then I think there's another conversation that we need to have, which is when people waive the DSM, we need to know that this is a manual for medical insurers in America to decide what they're paying for and what they're not paying for. It's not about healing. And nobody's claiming it's for teaching us how to heal clients. It's for medical insurance purposes. And that's okay. Maybe a conversation for another day.
And as you said there, that they describe like a mean person, vain person. Do they even know that they can make you want not being here anymore?
I've
They
actually
hurt you. They steal your life.
Yes.
They steal everything. They
Yes.
take everything from you.
Yes, I've actually had that conversation with a psychiatrist years ago. It was back in 2017, and she said that is the fault of the target for having poor boundaries and for having codependent issues. So that's a psychiatrist, and she's quite well known, and she's a lecturer as well. She took the blame away from the person with the pathology. And she said, if narcissistic abuse drives somebody to the point where they would like to leave the earth, that's because there was pre-existing trauma and weak boundaries on the part of the target. And I said, okay, thank you for your input.
Wow, no, I don't accept
way.
that, because I'm talking about parents, not partners. And they
but
can,
even still.
yes, even still, they take everything away from you. Your childhood.
Yes, but don't you understand? When you're 5, you should just learn to have stronger boundaries. I don't know what your problem is. Why didn't you just why didn't you just do some breathing exercises and block your mother's voice?
Right? Honestly,
it's a joke. It's a joke, but it's at the same time it's very serious, because at 5 years old you are terrified.
Yeah. I think that's
terrified.
But I mean, isn't that also part of the language and the attitude that psychology develops? So when we talk about, say, for example, borderline personality disorder, they call that, they say at the core of that, there is abandonment anxiety. Everything is cleaned up. Everything is made more domesticated and nice and safe. There's no such thing as abandonment anxiety. That is bullshit. It is called abandonment terror. That's why. And then when you take another word, it's not anxiety. No, es un poquito de ansiedad. It's a sense that I will die. My survival is at stake if you leave me.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. Now your crazy behavior makes sense, but we don't. We use cute language. You go,
cute language.
This client has abandonment anxiety. I'm like, oh, bless you.
No. Yeah. It's terror.
It's terror.
It's the imminent feeling that you are going to die.
Yes.
Because that's all you have. Your parents you depend 100% on them.
Exactly.
So, why do they even have children?
Well, there was a friend of mine who was a child SA specialist. The second word is abuse. And she co-authored a book on it, and she was quite a successful therapist with the victims of childhood abuse. And she wrote an essay. It was an excellent essay where she posited that for a certain generation after World War II, they felt the pressure to have children as their parents had done. And then they clearly demonstrated a general sort of a feeling that having kids wasn't as fun as they thought it would be. And that they actually resented their children for, to use her words, spoiling the party. Now, some generations are going to be more narcissistic than others. There's no doubt. It comes in waves. But if you generalize that out, why would someone have children? Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they have a grandiose fantasy of what that will be like, of what the lived moment to moment experience of taking care of a small human will be. And maybe they find it very disappointing, and maybe they find it very frustrating, and maybe it makes them very angry. And who do you think they're going to be angry with? Because it isn't going to be themselves. It's going to be because they are themselves infantile. Whoever's causing them frustration, that's the person that they're going to be angry with. Yes, even if you're 3 months old or 9 months old or however old you are, you're getting on my fucking nerves. And I don't have patience for this. I don't have patience for anything. And then the aggression is directed at the child, where there is infanticide in the world. I would love to see some research, some serious research done on the prevalence of narcissistic psychopathy there, because there are people who they're not qualified to be fathers. They're not qualified to be mothers. I don't think not everybody's born for this. Not everybody's born for the role of a caregiver. And for some people, it's so much pressure for that peculiar type of personality. It's literally dangerous to the children. It's literally physically dangerous to the children to be in that situation of pressure. Yeah.
Exactly.
It is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay. I put you into an emotional flashback from childhood.
It's
but we're
okay.
Here. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Espacio seguro.
But I am espacio seguro. I am very excited to talk about this because it's something that, even though it's so painful, this knowledge, this information relieves you from guilt, because do these children really love their parents? I mean, let's say adult children already. From when you are a kid, you have to survive, so you don't even know what love is. But when you grow up, you still so dependent, because they make you be dependent on them because they want to control you. Do you love them?
No.
Do you think this adult... Okay.
No, es muy simple. Es muy simple. Porque no tienes el espacio y no tienes la opción. So if I'm a fascist en una situación de fascismo and you don't have the choice or the space, that's not love. That's coercion. I'm forcing you. You can't force love. You can
But you confuse that.
Yes, you can.
You confuse.
Yes, because it's a totalitarian state. So I have total control over you. Now, you will obey me and you will do as you are told. And that is love. Oh, obedience is love. Yes, blind obedience. Slavery is love. Fear is love. Sacrifice is love. Violence is love. War is love. Torture is love. And we get all of this as the children of narcissistic parents.
Yes.
And then guess what? We grow up and we have relationships with one or two little problems in them.
Exactly. And then you go and get a partner where you find the same. It's not that I don't believe in the attraction you attract. It's just that you
believe that's love. You believe that's love.
Yes, you are programmed that way. So your brain is gonna feel familiar with that, right?
Yes.
So
it's a lot of our behavior is unconsciously driven. And I think, we're gonna bond with somebody who allows us to re-experience the the comfortable torture chamber of home. Because look, for kids who then become adults who are raised in this kind of environment of totalitarianistic, fascist control that's very punitive, and they're raised with a constant sense of neurotic guilt. And this guilt is a guilt for being, by the way, at its core.
Yes.
You felt as a child that you were a burden to your parents. I'm sorry. An error. I'm sorry I was born. So there's a guilt for being, un culpabilidad de ser. Is that what you would call it? For being, un culpabilidad de ser. And so then you're sorry for being, you're sorry for existing, and downstream of that, you're sorry for wanting, you're sorry for having drives, you're sorry for saying no, you're sorry for failing to obey, you're sorry, and that becomes the story of your life. So
Yes.
Is there a biological bond between the children and the parents? Yes. Is there love there in any meaningful sense? Not by my definition of love. Love isn't born of violence. Love isn't born of coercion. Love isn't born of force. So if you were given space and the choice to love or not love, then yes, that could be authentic love. If you were not given the space and you were not given the choice, then no, that doesn't qualify as love. It's a trauma bond. For sure, we're trauma bonded to our parents.
Can you explain what go?
No, I was going to ask, what would be your definition of love then in this case? Because you're saying what love isn't, but what is love then?
I'm a bit primitive with this, and this is because I've had to. I was raised in this type of a family unit where all of my wiring around love and attachment was very, very scrambled. And to me, I don't have children, but my sister has children, and it's spontaneous. It's just a spontaneous feeling, and nobody's telling me like you have to love your nephews. To me it feels biological. It's a natural drive. It just spontaneously occurs. Nobody's forcing anything to happen. Nobody's standing over me saying feel positive emotions towards these children or else they are lovable. And so to me it's does a cat who has kittens love the kittens? It's just a spontaneous attachment. The problem with narcissism and narcissistic psychopathy is it's so polluted and corrupted with control. It makes everything artificial. And as our world is taken over by leaders who are more and more narcissistic and psychopathic, it trickles down. And so everything becomes more and more artificial, and it's very, very hard to find authenticity. People survive in that kind of a culture by behaving more narcissistically and psychopathically. So it's the opposite of materialism. There is no gain in me loving these children. I don't benefit from it. The opposite. It costs.
Exactly.
It costs time. It costs life. They live in California. I hate to fly. I have to get terrified and fly there. I do it gladly. I do it gladly. I'm very, very, it's natural, it's spontaneous, it occurs in a space where people have choice. And it's, I don't know, it's very, very hard to verbalize, really.
Yeah. And what you just said about flying to California to see them goes back to what you said about this sort of natural sacrifice that you make for people that you actually love, but in a way that it doesn't even feel like a sacrifice really, because you want to do those things for these people.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm spontaneously making sacrifices that don't feel like sacrifices because the payoff is built in, and that's why I say I'm kind of a primitivist with this. it's an automatic feeling.
Yeah.
There are feelings that you can have for your children. No, they're not my children. That you can have for children that are not, you can't feel in any other context. So you're in a different part of your emotional.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
Richard,
okay. We're here for you.
we're here for you. I'm with you, Richard. I come from a very dark place too. I'm so sorry. I hug you from here. I hug
It's
you.
okay. We can take a second.
It's okay.
You just gotta let it out sometimes.
Presumably, if a person is halfway normal, even halfway sane, they would spontaneously love children.
It's not conditional.
Yeah. It's
Everything
just unconditional love.
Everything for talking about parents, everything was conditional.
Yeah.
You have to be this way. You have to speak this way. You have to think this way. You have to feel this way. You have to be told. You have to be sure. You have to be this. You have to do that. And it was never enough.
I think
We were nothing.
I think because it's all power. It's all part of power, and it's all part of gain. You know, what's in it for me? And if there's no gain in it for me, why am I going to do it? And that's there in everything that we have in the culture that we have. I just, for me, on as an adult, so I'm older now than my parents were when they had me and when they had my sister. And I just think, what the fuck was your problem? It's not hard to love your kids. It's not hard to love children. Even, you know, when the children have friends, they're lovable.
Yeah.
They're spontaneous.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so, but so at the point where I became emotional, what I was trying to say is, you will feel a different kind of love than you can feel for anything else if you are halfway sane. And I don't think they get any of that. So your original question is, do they love? There is a whole world of emotion that they never feel. They never get there. There's chambers of the heart that never open, and will never be opened. They are locked into a dead space. It's a very death-like personality disorder, and that's the tragedy of it. And they try to lock other people into that space with them. This is why we get vampire mythology. You know, vampires are dead. They feed on others. They sleep. They sleep in a crypt. They sleep in a coffin, and they can only operate at night in the opposite world. I think our myths of vampires were our original attempt to understand narcissism and narcissistic psychopathy. But there's a whole terrain of human experience that they just never get to.
Yeah. We also use the analogy of the Dementors from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
They feel like they're just Dementors that suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
They suck the happiness out of you. They make everything feel cold. But it's this same idea.
I say we are orphans of alive parents. Mine are alive, I think. So I have been an orphan of alive parents.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of describing it, because in that case, they never would have actually fulfilled the role of being a parent. They couldn't do it.
No.
So what you have is a sperm provider and a womb provider, and that's it. So biologically, you are of them, but they never 1 hour of one day spent any time actually parenting, because they can't.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up with, my parents were wealthy. And you hear a lot that, well, they gave you a roof, food, you went to school. Of
Yeah.
course, that's their duty.
Yes.
But that's not what we're talking about. To raise a kid, you need way more than that. Actually, you might be under a bridge and you will give the kid more safety, love, connection than living in a super penthouse with any of that.
There might even be a correlation that some of this is economic. So you might find there's a greater prevalence. I actually was just looking for this, not last night, but the night before. We might find that as people become more materially wealthy, they can afford to be more narcissistic. They can afford to be more cold and unfeeling. Whereas when you don't have that wealth and you're forced to be humble and to rely on community and rely on family and rely on friends, maybe that keeps narcissism at bay. We might be seeing an explosion of narcissism or narcissistic behavior now because we're hitting a peak of material abundance globally.
Yes. There's too many because you learn more information, more healing every day, and then you start seeing the signals a lot.
Yeah.
They can trick you because that's true. We're not immune, but you can also see a lot of signals or signals.
Signals.
Sorry about it. Signals.
Señales.
Señales, exactamente. So, but sometimes I feel that when you're describing beautifully or horribly these beings, because whatever, aliens, beings, humans, weird species of humans, it sounds like psychopaths, not narcissists, because not empathy, cruel. Aren't they psychopaths too? Or what is this?
I suspect that in the future, the cluster B, so the cluster B spectrum right now is histrionic, psychopath, narcissist, and borderline.
Yep.
It's a little bit confused historically. It's confused in ideas around religion and gender as well. So we know that the diagnosis for narcissism leans heavily to men. The diagnosis for BPD leans heavily to women. We also know that BPD, borderline, is one of the most misdiagnosed person. In fact, it is the most misdiagnosed personality disorder. Because clinicians, be they male or female, see a woman who is emotionally dysregulated, probably has complex post-traumatic stress, and they just go, BPD, get out.
Yep. Exactly.
Take some anti-anxiety meds.
Oh yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Band-aids. They don't even know what's wrong with you.
We've had people send their testimonials saying that they got misdiagnosed with BPD, but really they have C-PTSD from the trauma that they lived in their childhood.
No, they have been taking these medications for decades. They
have felt like they're crazy.
Yes.
Like there's actually something wrong with them.
Many stories. You're right. Because we get hundreds of stories.
So you get.
We wish we could read them.
So you get too many women are overdiagnosed and misdiagnosed with BPD.
Yep.
And then too few women who actually are narcissists get the diagnosis of narcissism, because back to the good old DSM, what the DSM is describing is grandiose, exhibitionistic, masculine narcissism, not neurotic, fragile, and more feminine forms of narcissism. Masculine and feminine narcissism can manifest in men and women. There's tons of men who are fragile narcissists. There's plenty of women who are grandiose narcissists, but it's a problem. So psychopathy originally, when I looked at the history of the word, it seems to be a word that emerged from the asylums of Europe, Paris and London, in the 1800s. And it meant someone who was a moral degenerate or didn't have a strong morality. So you'd have women who were put in asylums who were, you know, they were broke. They were selling themselves into prostitution to make money. Then they had multiple illegitimate children, and they were drinking a lot of alcohol. And they'd go, that woman, she's lost God. But because it was an emerging science, they couldn't say she's a godless whore. So they would say she's a psychopath. A guy who can't stop stealing, is fighting all the time, has murdered people, has abandoned God. He's a psychopath. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So what does that mean? Well, psyche, we usually translate as mind, but originally it meant soul. So it meant this is a soul that is damaged. This is a soul that is suffering, that is in pain.
Yes.
And then all of our diagnosis criteria are locked in that historical lineage. And I suspect what we'll come back to is that all of this plus the B is just multiple forms of psychopathy, because the key element is there's no moral core. We're talking about people who fundamentally don't care about right or wrong, and they're stripped. The narcissist doesn't care about right and wrong, but cares about their image. The histrionic doesn't care about right or wrong, but will kick up a fuss and engage in theatrics and be hypersexual to get what they want. The borderline, the antisocial, so on. It's actually all forms of psychopathy. And the reason why it falls into this band is the way psychopathy can still be understood to this day is it's a law breaking a set of proclivities. Laws could be literal, or they could be boundaries. It might not be literally illegal for me to make you think I'm someone else, cause you to fall in love with me, steal $5,000 from you, sleep with your best friend and give you an STD. Actually, that probably is illegal. Okay. Slightly or coerce you into lending me the money, and do all the rest of it. It's not against the law, but it is boundary breaking bad behavior. So that's where all of this is psychopathy. It's just that what we call psychopaths are so low in impulse control and so low in their public perception. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit whether what you think of them or what you don't think of them. They want what they want. But I think all of these different streams of personality disorders are emergent from psychopathy, which is an abandonment of a sense of good and bad morality.
This is fucked up.
It's a living nightmare. Oh my God.
Bienvenidos a Familias Horribles. Vamos a hablar de todo.
Oh my
Sí,
God.
señor.
Sí. So moving on to the next part of this, because now we know they don't love us. They probably are not even capable of love. What about us? What about us? Do we actually love them? Because is it possible to love somebody that behaves this way and that controls us this way? What does that look like? The inverse.
But the parents, I am more interested in parents because
our parents.
I want to say something after that. I am very open. I am very disrupted in social media. I go boom, 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 and they say, "Okay, I established zero contact, but I respect them. I love them from the distance." You don't love them.
Well,
you are scared.
Let him answer, though. I want to hear his answer.
But I get passionate. Go ahead. Yes.
I will.
Sorry.
I will answer you now, but I'm going to blow my nose first. But don't worry.
Okay, go.
The microphone stays here. You won't hear anything.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Go ahead.
Yes. Are you okay?
Yeah, no
worries. I'm okay. I'll speak to my therapist tomorrow. What day is it today?
Tuesday.
Today's
the
Tuesday 9th. My youngest birthday. I have to call him after this.
I think.
Yes, I love you, but it's true.
But it's real love.
Yes, exactly. So, yes. Go ahead, Ariana.
I think you can just jump into the answer.
Oh, yeah,
we
that's
cut
true.
it there.
So we're answering the question: Do we love these parents?
Yeah.
I think the children of parents like this are capable of love. It's just that their love is going to be tainted by the interference that they experienced in childhood. So here we will see the attachment disorders. We will see avoidant counterdependency. We'll see disorganized attachment. We'll see anxious attachment. Because we were not raised in an environment where we could safely love, because our parents weren't interested in the safe expression of love. It didn't interest them at all. What interested them was obedience and the appearance of love, however they interpreted it in their own perverted way. So do we love our parents? Are we obliged to love them? My father went to prison for abusing his children. He has two families. I'm
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm a member of the second family. Do I love him? I mean, maybe if I'm doing a very deep meditation and I take myself out to the stars and think, at some
I'm sorry.
deep
Sorry, it's just that-
spiritual. How dare you laugh at my pain? This is you know how you're dealing with people who have childhood trauma is they laugh at the darkest shit.
For real.
I do. That's
my
why
God.
I'm laughing. I laugh at
No,
my
because
yeah,
because it's
I'm
so
an orphan
true.
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
it's so true. Like
We laugh at this because
but
what
listen,
do you do?
we can't.
Yeah.
No one can tell us off, which is great. So if you get like you get like people like, hey, you shouldn't laugh at that. It's like it happened to us. Like whether
Exactly.
in the victimhood hierarchy, we won. You don't get to say anything. So
Yes.
if I float,
you can't laugh actually.
yeah, you can't.
like
yeah,
the other
yeah.
people.
You get to shut
Yeah.
up. You get to say nothing, and I get to laugh at my suffering.
Exactly.
Understand the
Yeah,
power structure
exactly.
here. So yeah, at some level, I can get there as like the idea of a person, but do I love him in any meaningful, functional way? No. Do I feel any Catholic obligation to honor my father and mother? I say no. I say fuck that commandment. Sorry.
Yes.
And
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would consider myself a spiritual person. I'd consider myself a religious person. But that commandment, stick it. I don't care. And who writes stuff like that anyway? What kind of parents did the person who wrote that have? That is that's more narcissistic psychopathy. If you're going to write the 10 rules for how people live their lives, that's not what you would write. That's not what you would write.
You just said it. Exactly. Yeah. That is more psychopathic.
It's more psychopathy.
Way of thinking or feeling. What are you doing? Why would you?
And the way to know it is it a call to emancipation and freedom, or is it a call to obedience and submission? Very simple. It's a call to obedience,
fear and guilt.
Fear and guilt.
Always.
So no, I don't. I honor those who honor me. And if my father and mother aren't capable of doing that, too bad. And the way around that, I would say, is like, well, they're not really a father and mother, perhaps in the way that it was meant when it was written. They just happen to provide me with sperm and eggs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
So, I don't. When people have come from very bad childhoods and they tell me that they love their parents and all the rest of it, I feel compassion. My instinct is that they're still obeying very strong superego injunctions. They're internalized parents, and it's how they survive. It's how they live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's survival.
Yeah, and
it is fear of the society also. But this is all unconscious too.
Yeah,
I think
It's unconscious. It's actually not just fear of the society. They're still afraid that the mother God or father God will come along and kill them or crucify them or destroy them.
Yes.
So the
yes.
God of the Old Testament is very much like an abusive father. You know, on a whim, he wakes up with a hangover and starts torturing and genociding people. So it's a bad daddy. It's a bad mummy. And we carry that. We carry that. I used to see that with clients. We talk about the parents and they'd whisper. And I was like, are we in a post-Soviet country now? There are places in Europe, in Eastern Europe, so Czech Republic and Slovakia still does this. They still fucking whisper. They still whisper when they talk in their own houses. It's not normal to speak with a big voice. They're not like Italians, like in Spain or Italians. They're not. They still whisper by instinct. And these are people who never lived under communist rule, but their parents did and their grandparents did. And these you could, and also the poor people of Czechoslovakia, they also, before the fucking communists had the Nazis, if you said the wrong thing and the wrong person heard it, your whole family could be killed. And so now people speak quietly.
Yes.
The intergenerational trauma goes down. There's nobody cares if you say anything in the Czech Republic. It's a free country. But the superego injunction still runs in the unconscious. Shh, be quiet. You never know who's listening.
Yes.
And so the victims of childhood trauma, they still do that.
Yes, but there's a part that society authorizes, normalizes abuse in the family. And we want to break that normalization in the name of the love of family.
I mean, it's like this typical example that we always give where if you see a man spanking a child in the middle of the street, your first instinct would be, whoa, call the police, what's going on here? But as soon as you hear that man is that child's father, everybody just steps back, turns away, doesn't want anything to do with it. Oh, he's disciplining his child. Oh, the child did something wrong and deserved that.
Yes, it's very, very difficult because we're at a point in our civilization where we live together in environments where we're surrounded by strangers. So we evolved. We're a bad evolutionary match for the culture and the environment that technology has allowed us to create. Most of our evolution, you were living in tribes of 30 to 50 people. So I would know the relationship between the father and the son. And probably the raising of children would have been more communal anyway. So if I'm a 47-year-old man and I see a 25-year-old man in my tribe beating his son, I absolutely can and will intervene. And my right to do that is, hey, I fucking raised you and I raised your son and I raised your, because you would have had a situation where a child was taught fishing by this guy, was taught hunting by this guy, and it would have been much more communal. All of that, and that's us. I'm not describing a weird utopia.
Yeah,
that's how we're wired. We're not wired to just have one mother, one father, obviously biologically, and that's all. You're raised by the community, and as the child ages, they will gravitate towards different people in the community. And there is accountability. There is less criminality in communities where everybody knows your name. Also, you can be less narcissistic. Look, I knew you when you used to run around naked and shit in the bushes over there. Stop trying to be this stupid attitude. And there would be more trust. There would be an awful lot more social cohesion and trust. The opposite of that is a highly alienated culture where I really don't have the right to say that to a parent of another child. I don't know them. I don't know their names. I don't know their parents' names. I don't know who they are as characters. There is, with unfamiliar people, there's a strange alienation that creeps in. And criminality and pathology and narcissistic psychopathy
Yeah.
is a byproduct of that for sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then going back, since we already answered, do we actually love them? Well, you gave your personal answer. So when people say that they do, that they think that they do, even if they have zero contact, they say they still love their parents. I'm wondering if what they actually love is the fantasy. They love the parent that they wish they had or that they hope that they will have one day, because maybe they'll change one day, and it's still filled with hope. It's like a love filled with hope, not a love for the actual person that exists and that always existed.
Or maybe they're using the wrong word. If they say, I love my mother, maybe, and it'd be different person by person, but maybe they mean I lovingly, with grief, lament. They have a lot of lamentation and yearning
Yeah.
for a mother that never was. And it's the child in me that does that. And it feels like it's in a soft and emotional and gentle space. I guess that's what love is, because they're scrambled. They're we're all scrambled by this stuff. And they go, no, that's love, because it's soft. Softness is love. And maybe it comes from a desire for the system to heal itself, and possibly there could be resolution there that would be a little bit more healthy, where these feelings of softness and care and nurturing can be moved away from, as you rightly said, the fantasy object. That's I guess that's an objectification in the psychoanalytic sense of the mythical mother. Or they might mean they love the idea of a mother, they love the idea of a father. There's nothing wrong with that, but probably what they're describing is a scrambled up, it's a yearning, it's a lamentation.
Yeah. Wow.
What's yearning in Spanish? How do you say yearning?
I'll let you know in a bit.
Listen,
like
it's difficult.
Desiring?
Yeah.
Yearning?
So
But it's like this pole. It has like a pole.
in Portugal, they have
Is
a
this
word.
the word?
It's saudade,
Yearning?
but I don't think they have it in Spanish. Is that saudade? You don't have, do you? The equivalent of that.
It doesn't sound
Yearning?
familiar. Anhelo?
Anhelo?
Deseo.
Is a profound desire, like
Yeah.
let me see these words. Wait, because it's important. Let me translate this.
El anhelo.
El anhelo. Let me see. And we are not taught to be accurate with that. So anhelo is yearning,
Or
longing, ansia is like craving, anxiety, urge, according to the context. Deseo profundo, deep desire, añoranza, longing, nostalgia.
I like that one. Añoranza.
Nostalgia.
Because
yes, añoranza, nostalgia.
Añoranza. So there's a yearning with a nostalgia. So you're nostalgic for a childhood you didn't have.
Exactly.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
What it is. See how important was to
go
over the words? Yes. Yeah. We need more words. We need to learn the more accurate words for our feelings.
Yes. And for the structure of what's happening. Because if you can describe it with I'm forgetting English. Nuance. If you can describe the words, the what's happening with nuance, with precision, specificity, the capacity to overcome it increases dramatically. I don't know what the word for nuance is in Spanish. It's not going to be nuancia.
Nuance. No, it's not. The nuance of her words was lost in translation.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
La matiz.
Matiz is, holy shit. That's a subtle detail.
Beautiful. Matiz.
Yeah.
Yes, matiz.
Matiz.
So
Vamos a
let me see.
aprender un nuevo tipo de español para explicar
Sí.
nuestras emociones. Matiz. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Matiz. Matiz. Okay.
Shade. Yes, matiz.
Entonces
So,
podemos decir que hay que explicar lo que estamos sintiendo con matiz.
exactly. You have to use the context also.
Okay. Okay.
Because you can say the matiz of the color blue. There's this
Oh,
Like a
matiz.
hue. It's like a
Okay.
hue.
Okay. Okay.
Like a hue, but you can also, the nuance of his answer changed the whole meaning. That matiz changed the whole meaning of the conversation.
Es muy importante.
So, yes. So it's shade. How
Yeah.
do you say this word?
Hue.
Hue.
Hue. The hue.
So,
yeah.
yeah, I think in Spanish is matiz.
So
would be the
So then
word.
our capacity to get, because we use language to build maps and models of reality, and the realities we're trying to describe are internal, and they're scrambled, they're confused. And so we need this level of precision, nuance, so that we can really help people to get a grasp of what it is, of the challenge that they're facing. And then you can move forward. You can actually move beyond this, because I'm sure you've seen it. People remain stuck in their unfulfilled childhoods for years, entire lifetimes sometimes.
Yes. And that's where I think these questions about, because I heard you explaining the addiction, and you explained something like you are not addicted to the narcissist, father or mother or partner. You are addicted to who they wanted you to be, or something
who
like
you
that.
had
Can
to
you
be. Yeah.
how can you explain that?
Yes, I can. So sometimes when I'm speaking publicly, I'll use the word addiction. But I'll tell addiction, but I'll tell you, as you're both psychologically literate, it really is conditioning. But
Conditioning, yes.
yes,
Yeah, we understand.
So this isn't an English-Spanish problem. This is an English-English problem. In English, when you use the word conditioning, you're either talking about training in the gym, or you're talking about a kind of just a brainwashing mental condition.
Yeah, okay.
You're conditioned to do something. But probably here, what we need to understand is at a neurological level, you're conditioned into a state of feeling like things are peaceful or have homeostasis when they are dangerous. So your connection is now changed. I should move towards safety, and I should move away from danger. After narcissistic abuse, whether it's at the hand of a parent or a culture or a church or a partner, it switches. So now I'm connected to danger. So I said we're addicted to who the narcissistic, the abusive relationship makes us be in order to survive it. But technically, with nuance, it's actually conditioning. We're conditioned to that state. And so we seek it out. And when we don't have it, we will feel, oh, something's missing. This doesn't feel warm and comfortable. So we're warm and comfortable in abuse. We're warm and comfortable in war. In peace and in love, we feel empty, bored, lonely, alienated, dislocated. It's not good. It's not a good feeling. So that's really what I was talking about there, is the conditioned, we are conditioned to crave pain, discomfort.
I went through that.
Yeah.
I went through that, and I didn't know. I finally, my second marriage, of course, because I married to an abusive guy. It's all I knew.
It's my
But
birth
then,
father.
exactly. But biological father. Her father is the
That's why
guy
I
that is
say-
screaming in his office right now.
Birth father, sperm donor, whatever.
Whatever it is. But when I married to this man that loved me spontaneously, unconditionally, if you want to say it, I thought there is something wrong here.
Like
I
it's too
couldn't.
good. It was like it was too good to be true.
And also,
Yeah.
I start feeling like empty, like there's something missing. You said it, like bored.
Yeah.
And I did the craziest things at the very beginning of the trying to seek for conflict.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a conflicted person. He
Oh my
didn't
God.
do anything, and he was, "Are you okay?"
He's like the least conflictive person.
No, I'm
He's
not doing that.
He's like Buddha. He's
Yes.
so peaceful, zero issues, and
And I
Yeah.
couldn't believe that he wouldn't jump and how do you dare to accuse me? I was, what? This guy doesn't even. So I caught myself very early and say, wow, what are you doing? And I was in therapy. So it resolved immediately. It resolved in my head
Yeah.
yeah.
but yes, what you said, it's absolutely true. I have experienced that. So I don't know if you want to add something about
Yeah,
it.
just the what the narcissistic relationship creates is described by a guy called Sander, a psychoanalyst from New York in 1989. It's called a shared fantasy, and it's exactly the same protocol as a cult. So the family has its own story, its own narrative, its allies, its enemies, it's at war. All cults are always at war all the time. And we adapt to that shared fantasy. We adapt to that cult fantasy. And I was taught by a friend of mine who survived a cult, Mark Vicente, that one of his cult psychologists, when he was deprogramming, said, in order to survive the cult, you create a cult self. So here's the sick thing. Here's the sick thing. The narcissist has a false self. You said, how would I define narcissism if I was doing it? And I basically described this grandiose fake self. They also induce in you the requirement to build a false self. So they have their narcissistic false self, and then you have the cult false self. And that cult false self has different capabilities, different interests. It's really a different person. And you live as that. And living as that fake person is something that we become addicted to. It's actually conditioned to, but it feels like an addiction. Why am I not being asked to perform? Why am I being asked to be authentic? Who the fuck wants to be authentic? No, I want what I'm trained to do. I'm trained to pretend to be someone else. I really don't know what this is. I don't know how to operate in these coordinates. I need to perform. So there's that shared fantasy also creates in us a desire to be other than that which we are. And we do this, we engage in the narcissistic fantasy to survive the narcissistic abuse. And it's the same way in families. So you reach for a fantasy to survive the abuse of the narcissistic family unit. And the fantasy you reach for is the one they've given you. It's really sick. It's really, really sick.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And also I would just add to that being yourself in this cult-like situation is dangerous. So when you have the opportunity to be yourself, you feel like you're putting yourself in danger.
Yes. There's nothing more dangerous than being yourself. And as you rightly say, if we think like behavioral psychologists, if we put people in an environment, if we no more human rights, no hay derechos humanos aquí. We're very evil psychologists. We put them in an environment where every time they be themselves, they get an electric shock. How long is it going to be before they struggle to access who they really are? I mean, I think it would be weeks, definitely months, not years. It wouldn't take years, because your whole body and your brain just reconditions and goes, well, for fuck's sake, I don't like getting shocked. So please, please don't be you, for the love of God. And then the tragedy, we forget who we are.
Oh my God, yes.
There isn't a single client I've had coming out of a narcissistically abusive relationship where we haven't had to do intense work on them reclaiming who they are. And I'll say to them, this is how I know when someone's really traumatized. I look at them and I say, you've told me about your narcissistic relationship. You've described the narcissist inside out, blah, blah. Could you just tell me, what do you want? What do you want? And I get this. Open eyes, open mouth. They've gone. There's no me.
You don't know.
You're asking what I want. What the fuck kind of question is that? There's no one there. I have
to tell you something.
We had the guilt of being. We had the la culpabilidad de ser, and then you have the rule to not be. Hay una regla. You must not be. And then they're operating under that, and we have to break it. Tell me, how did you have that?
Yes. No, it's just that I'm sorry I interrupted you.
It's okay.
People, please forgive me. It's just that I had a flashback with that. I was at the bottom of the bottom and a time of my life with my daughter, doesn't matter. And we were in this house, but I was reading a book because I was in the hole. And I cannot even talk. It says, what do you want? That was one of the exercises, and I couldn't answer. So I said, it was at 3 a.m. in the morning because I couldn't sleep. So I sneak out of the room and the house where we were sleeping because we didn't have a house. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend 1 minute. I'm not a religious person, but I'm going to imagine for only 1 minute that not even God will know what I want. Because I was so afraid of saying what I wanted. At that moment, I didn't have anything for the circumstances that I was going through. And then I imagined that I went into my mind where not even God could be for a minute. And the answer was, you would think I wanted a house, a big job, a work, so I could do better for my daughter, a car, I don't know, go back to the States because I was in Spain, whatever. The answer was a family. But the fact that I read, what do you want, was so scary because I felt that I didn't have the right to answer that question. Mm-hmm. What? What do you mean what you want? You don't want anything. Mm-hmm. It's not your right to want anything because that's all I heard.
Yeah. So there's it's very, very strong parental injunctions from very narcissistic parents who probably, if you expressed a want or you expressed your individual beingness, would have punished you very harshly for being, for wanting, for existing, for breaking the rule to not be. Don't be separate to me. Align and fuse and merge with my desires, be an extension of me. No, I want something else. Oh, really? We'll fucking say about that. And then physical beating, emotional beating, big punishments.
Yes, big punishments. And I got a lot of those because I would remember who I was, or I fought for who I wanted to be a lot of little times. Not all the time, impossible, because I would have, I don't know. But I was the scapegoat. So I couldn't hold my tongue many times. I couldn't deal with the feeling of injustice. So that part of me would get out, my authenticity,
Authenticity, your
okay,
authentic
exactly,
self.
and my authentic self, and then punished
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We need a breath. But
It's fucking hard.
yeah.
It's really hard
I
because
think-
because it lives on. The superego injunctions, they live on inside of us. And then, you know, I find myself in times in therapy and we'll break down, I enter therapy with a problem that I think is the problem. And we break it down and then we'll sit there and go, oh, you have a superego injunction that's telling you don't be. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why that might be a bit of a fucking problem. You're trying to live your life. And the rule, the commandment from God is don't be. Okay, so yes, I have a little anxiety about moving forward in my business or in my relationship or whatever it is. Yeah, but yeah, you will do if you're not allowed to be. If being is a crime, then yes, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then just to kind of close out this whole conversation, that was a very hard conversation, I think it's important to talk a little bit about reclaiming this real meaning of love, reclaiming our real selves. What would you say to someone that is just starting out, that's just realizing these things? How can they slowly start to, I don't know, see themselves, see love for what it really is and not what they were conditioned to think it was?
Or for what it's not.
What it's not. Yeah.
I think the first steps probably need to be physical. So you'll be dealing with a client then who has felt unsafe their entire lives, and they've lived under the threat of harsh punishment from fascist authoritarians, you know, an evil god. And so when we as the engineer who's gone in to look at the engine to try and move things around and change things, as soon as you look, before you even touch, they will feel unsafe. Yeah. And so they feel threatened and they become frightened. Nobody heals whilst they're frightened. Nobody can heal where they're frightened.
Yeah.
So you're
in survival.
True.
You're in survival mode. So the first thing is we've got to be teaching techniques to make people feel safe inside of their own body. If you're asking about what we do therapeutically in the dyad, between us in the dialogue, when I used to do it, I would do whatever it took to take the client in a conversation down to a place where I can see physiologically they're feeling safer. And whatever that takes, it may be, it might be distraction, it might be humor, it's whatever the client needs to get them down to a place where they're really ready to start opening up. And when they open up, I'm stepping into their house, and it's a house no one has ever been in. No one. So I take my shoes off at the door and I'm very slow, very slow. And maybe I do nothing. Maybe we don't do any work today. Maybe the work today is that you let me see something. Good enough. That's it. That's it. Lots of patience, lots of time, lots of care, and keep checking in. But yeah, physical techniques to help people feel safe. And they must practice it like a martial art. They're not used to feeling safe. So the breathing techniques, meditation techniques, there's things that they can do. There's yoga. We know there's research that's come out saying going to the gym can help process traumatic memories. Movement, dance. I like to dance. I encourage people to move to the rhythm of some music that they like.
you will feel better because it is natural. That's what we're evolved to. So we start with the body. The beginning, the middle, and the ending of the story is safety, 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 safety. Get them feeling safe.
Yes.
Slowly they learn, oh, we can discuss this and nobody shows up and beats the shit out of me. Okay. Oh, we can move things slowly and carefully inside their house, inside of their house, and nothing terrible happens. And then in time, we can make bigger and bigger movements. So I guess that's half advice for clients and I guess half advice for therapists. I guess 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what a beautiful answer. And honestly, the thing that impresses me the most is that you are talking about the body first, when usually people answer something like learning about these things or more the mental, the cognitive side of it and understanding, but you really start with the body and the safety
first.
which is something that is really ignored in trauma a lot of the time.
It is, unfortunately. What can happen is with some forms of psychotherapy, counseling, and psychiatry, is it becomes unwittingly, totally unwittingly, a replication of the abuse. So tell me how you're feeling. What's your problem? Is some problem with your mother or something? Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Oh my God. Well,
Let's go.
I'm out of there.
We got
Exactly.
40 minutes. I think you need some antipsychotic meds, or I don't really know what to do with you. Or are you sure that's what your mother was doing?
Yes, you should fix it.
my
You
God.
should ask for forgiveness.
I spoke to a psychotherapist recently from America, and he said psychotherapists never observe each other doing psychotherapy. I've led a charmed life because I've sat on multiple sessions for people doing counseling and psychotherapy as an observer for different reasons. And I can't say anything, but I've watched clinicians do and say the craziest, most insensitive, most traumatizing stuff by mistake. By mistake. And I'm sat there going, ladies, and
they are not informed.
They're not informed. They're arrogant sometimes. And I'm sat there and I'm going, let's start from this. Let's start here. Let's pretend. Remember the scene in the movie, it's Mission Impossible, the nuclear bomb is going to go off. If you cut the wrong wire, you don't get a second chance. The client shuts down. They're gone. They may never return to therapy again. You could destroy a person's life with the wrong look. They interpret it as a sneer, mistimed humor, pushing the client when they're not ready, pulling them when they're not ready. It's bomb disposal. Like my state. So we said their body matters. So we start, do you feel safe? Now I have to change state. I don't talk to people when I'm coaching them through childhood trauma the way I do if I'm teaching them martial arts. I have to go into a Zen-like meditative state, and I need to be fully present. There can't be, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm here. At first, obviously, we build rapport, we build trust. It doesn't need to be so careful all the time. But at first, I'm fully present, and it's meditation in the Zen school. I'm looking, I'm listening. What am I getting here? Presence. Okay. So now you have a human being who is fully present and attuned to you. There is no judgment here. I'm only perceiving you. When you're ready, tell me what you're feeling. And you give, we spoke in the beginning about options and space and consent. There's consent here. There's options, there's space. Maybe they never had that before. So my state, my physical state transmits. If I'm impatient, if I'm pushy, I want to tell you the Richard Grannon model of C-PTSD. I literally saw someone do that in counseling for somebody who'd experienced SA. And the guy started by saying, let me tell you about my system. And I'm like, this girl doesn't need a sales pitch, homie. What are we doing? Why are you?
Yeah.
and he was trying to establish his authority over her.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
Yeah.
do you understand a man? She's here because a man was doing a version. He wasn't doing the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's a version of that. He was dominating
Right.
her. I'm like, dude, oh my,
God.
like this is so we have to take care of us as well as the people,
Yeah.
as the therapists, as the coaches. I must be in the right state, especially in the early phases, especially when they're just opening up with trust. So yeah, body first for clients and for therapists.
Yeah.
Safety. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Oh my God, Richard, this has been an amazing
A masterclass.
a masterclass, an amazing, deep,
Moving.
conversation. Even though it has been hard, because you and I come from this type of love.
We come from
But
familias horribles.
Familias horribles. Actually, when I got pregnant, my biggest fear was that she would feel for me or what I felt for my parents. That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
But even though it was a hard conversation, I felt that it was beautiful between the three of us.
Yeah.
It felt safe. It felt real, true, authentic.
Good.
Honest.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. It's been really good. I hope we can do it again.
Oh, we are
would love
gonna.
to.
Wait,
This was
just about love.
This was one topic. I know.
Are you kidding
You have
me? Get
so
ready.
many things that you could contribute to our audience. We would love to have more conversations with you. I mean, I think this is something that people really don't talk about. And I think that we were able to talk about it in a way that is as informed as possible, as conscious and careful as possible, scientifically approved, or just it's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a lot about many other things. If you agree to come to Familias Horribles, horrible families, again, we are more than happy and honored with your presence here. And I would like to have your presence in my life too. So I'm going to bother in your phone. Hey, what are you doing in Ibiza? Okay.
That's
so
cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're going to just say goodbye to the audience
You're
here,
amazing.
but please don't hang up. We always forget to say that in the beginning. Lo decimos en español mejor.
Sí.
Whatever, it's going to be.
Sí, en español.
Okay,
Vamos
bueno.
en español.
Vamos. Richard habla español, pero bueno, como era una conversación
más técnica,
más complicada,
y fuerte,
era mejor en inglés y nosotros les prometimos.
En el futuro voy a tener la capacidad de hacerlo todo en español, pero hay que estudiar un poquito más.
Eso es.
Te prometo,
bueno,
Claro
te
que
prometo.
sí. Claro que
Eso.
sí. We're gonna do it. Don't worry. It's not that my English is perfect and anything like that. I do my best. Gracias a todos por estar aquí, por su apoyo. No se olviden de darle like, de compartir, de comentar, de descargar los episodios en Spotify, suscribirse en nuestro canal de YouTube. We are going to have all the information of Richard in the description. Please, anything that, where can they find you? What? Because we're going to put that in the description so they can, it's going to be there forever until the internet explodes. So
solo tienes que buscar mi nombre, Richard Grannon, y estoy de toda parte en el internet.
Perfecto. So he has his website. He has a lot to offer.
A lot
not
of
only as a
content.
professional, as a human being, as you see.
Thank
So if you want to contact him, please go to the description. You will find everything to get to him. So, gracias
Bueno,
a todos, los
gracias.
queremos. Nos vemos la semana que viene. Adiós.
Adiós.
Adiós.